I don't know. What am I saying? Who are you? What's your name?
I don't know.
What do people need to know?
Maybe we should go and listen to other podcasts and see how they start. Hello, welcome to Le Pod. It's a brand new podcast we're going to be putting out from down here in the basement of Le Pub twice a month. We're going to be talking to our staff, our community, local bands, local artists, and anyone we think is interesting.
Yes, welcome to episode number 14 of Le Pod. Thank you for joining us again for another episode. Hope you're enjoying them so far. And if you are certainly, most definitely, I guarantee it, going to enjoy this episode. The class episode. Not kind of slighting or throwing shade on any of my previous guests, but this is hand on heart one of my favourite episodes. Really fun. It was even fun listening back to edit it, and anyone who has any experience in editing podcasts knows that it's not a fun process. It's tedious and boring at the best of times, but it was fun, even editing this one, so you're in for a treat. Our guest today is the band Ladybird. First met those guys a little while back when they played the pub, and then the day after, as we talk about a little bit in the podcast, we all went canvassing and handing out leaflets for the Labour Party in the general election together with Eddie Izzard. Extremely random and memorable event, but that was really fun too. Weird, kind of takes me back to a more hopeful time in the political climate. Man, I miss Jeremy Corbyn. I don't even know who I would vote for if a general election was cast tomorrow. It's not the Tories, is all I can tell you for 100% certain. Anyway, moving on, Ladybird, before I get sidetracked down a political rabbit hole. Ladybird managed to release a whole EP and a single last year. It's pretty flipping good going during a pandemic. The single Political Wasteland is out now on Spotify. Political Wasteland, we just went from political here. And their EP Brainwash Machine Setting, also out on Spotify and all those good place outlet things. And they've got some material in the works right now, being recorded, maybe already recorded, but it's coming out soon. And then a tour to promote that as well, and they pushed that themselves towards the end of the episode, so get on that. I've already bought myself a ticket. Buy yourselves tickets as well, and you shan't regret it. Amongst all those little gems, we talk about...
And so you got this nice balance on the record that's coming out next. It's just got a good balance of sort of like monstrous tunes inspired by the likes of Willie J. Healy that Alex has written, you know, heavy rock ballads that are Oasis sort of driven, and then also like rusty punk thrashy numbers too. So I'm pleased that it turned out that way, you know.
It just feels like the roots of music to me. I think it gives people a chance to see a different aspect to you, I suppose. You can be a bit more vulnerable. I think the reason you start making loud, shouty music is maybe because you feel a bit vulnerable in the first place. So you just scream and shout at people so you don't show it.
I've got to share it because great memory we have of being in Newport with probably you were there, right, with Eddie Izzard wandering around the streets of Newport handing out Labour flyers. That was great, man.
Before we get on with the episode, finally we have an opening date for the pub. We shall be reopening our doors on the 26th of April. It's going to be outdoor table service only, like it was last summer, for the time being at least. So get on it quick, essentially. We'll let you know on our social media when the table booking service goes live, but it'll probably be through our website, which is lepublicspace.co.uk. And other than that, we are very much looking forward to seeing all your smiling faces again. Happy days. Until then, enjoy this episode of the podcast, episode 14, with Ladybird. Beep. Kind of feel like we've done all the preamble, intro, podcasty bit now.
Yeah.
Do we have to do it all again?
Well,
I guess so.
I feel like we should just try and get everything like we did it word for word.
Just go back to the start.
Yeah.
How did we start? Something about
the usual.
The usual.
How about you in these unprecedented times?
Oh, them ones, yeah.
And
No, I don't want to do that again.
No, but we soon took off into babies, adoption.
Yeah.
You know, gig. What can we call it? It'd be like VE Day, but for gigs. You know.
The countries emerging from the pandemic.
Yeah. Rock.
Yeah.
The rock emergence.
Although me and Don did all the preamble, we didn't really do it with Alex though.
Yeah, true.
No,
True.
didn't really catch up with me.
Yes, let's do some intro-y stuff. Alex, how you doing? What have you been sustaining yourself with at the moment, both physically and emotionally and mentally?
Coffee and nicotine.
Breakfast of champions.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, personally, I've found this side of January the 1st pretty difficult. Just with sort of lockdown 3.0 and the shit weather. And
it's rough,
it's
man.
kind of coming through now, so I'm trying not to be too fucking down on it all the time. But it has taken a cold turn down here in Brighton.
Oh yeah, it's freezing in Wales as well.
Yeah, but I mean, so I've found it quite difficult to a degree, but I'm coming through. The sun definitely helps, but it's been a strange time, hasn't it?
To say the least, yeah.
And I think it's just so much of like what I want to do is kind of been overnight. The music industry just stopped, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of been the same way for almost a year now. And I mean, there is hope now that it's all going to come back and we can start getting out there and playing some music. But it takes its toll after a while. I've been playing a lot of music at home and stuff, and that is really the only thing that keeps me going, to be honest.
Yeah.
But there's moments when you're just like, you know what? What's the fucking point in all of this, man? I'm just going to go get a job and anonymously disappear into make work in a kitchen or something. But no, it's a challenge at times.
It's a weird one though, isn't it? I saw something on Twitter the other day. Someone was saying that they have Stockholm syndrome with the pandemic. Like, as in... the closer we get to normality, the more they realize that they don't really want normality in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like they've become so accustomed to this. Oh, I hate the phrase "new normal," but to this way of living, that they're going to find it hard to go back to the normal way of living. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was. I mean, certainly when the pandemic hit, I was like, I was running out of money and needed to get a job.
Oh, really?
And
so
then
that was before the pandemic?
Yeah, just as the pandemic was about to hit, and then that pandemic hit, and I was like, sweet, I don't have to fucking do anything. I'm not allowed to go outside, so can't get a job. And it was kind of like, sweet, this is working out quite nicely. And a year later, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I can relate to that sentiment, because it is a bit like, oh, well,
yeah. Suddenly
there's this pressure that it's all going to be the same as it was before, and it's like, oh god, that means I've got to go outside and talk to people, and all these other little anxieties that have probably developed during the sort of pandemic and lockdown, a whole other bunch of anxieties to worry about.
Oh, there's going to be. I was speaking to someone the other day. There's surely going to be, if not just kind of standard PTSD, but some sort of like pandemic related mental health epidemic following this one. You know what I mean? Like it's going to take a toll.
Yeah, I definitely think. I think as you can see different mental health in different generations anyway, can't you? And how it's affected different people, even from my parents down to me, and then in generations below. But yeah, I can see that. I can see that would be, that even just struggling to get back out there, or like people right now feeling like, oh, actually, I don't really want to. I don't want June the 21st to happen, because it's a bit like nerve-wracking, and you just get this whole other set. It must have created a whole other set of anxieties for a lot of people.
For sure. Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously we're not seeing that many people, but there's there's still we can still get out and go for a walk and have a coffee with some of our friends and stuff, and even doing that I've found quite difficult, just staying in touch, just texting, keeping up with people, because it kind of feels, it's not empty because it's your friends, but there's an essence of like there's no real sort of human connection in it.
Yeah, of course. Well, friendship is built on shared experience to a large degree, isn't it? And
exactly. And just texting is not really a foundation of friendship necessarily.
No.
And it's hard to maintain, and I certainly start to feel a bit guilty about it sometimes, not replying.
And that stops
for
you
weeks
even more, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And, it just grows, that feeling. I know the one very well.
But then you realise you message your mates and you go, oh yeah, oh yeah, they're my friends. It's not that hard to talk to them at all, but it's amazing the fucking space you can get into in your head, isn't it?
Word up.
Yeah, it is. And how has the last year lockdown been for Ladybird as a band? Because you managed to put out some stuff, right?
Yeah, well, we're fortunate. So last summer, because it was kind of it all kicked off in last March, didn't it? And then the summer felt relatively normal to a degree. It wasn't entirely, but the cases have gone down, all the hospital admissions have gone down and shit. So we were kind of just like, right, let's get into the studio and record. And that was great. We had 2 or 3 weeks. Sam's wife was heavily pregnant. Well, 7.5 or 8.5 months pregnant at the time we went into the studio. And we were like, right, let's get this album done, and then Sam can go off and have the baby. And I think literally the day we finished the last song, wasn't it, Sam?
I actually left a day early. Do you remember? You were still mixing.
Oh yeah, okay. But we'd recorded everything. Everything had been tracked. Yeah. The moment we finished tracking everything.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good excuse to leave a day early, mind you.
Yeah.
The arrival of my son.
Yeah. And then this little ray of sunshine turned up in the world. So I mean, we did that, and then apart from that, it's kind of been relatively quiet. Political Wasteland came out of those sessions.
Oh, okay. So that was from the album sessions, was it?
Yeah, and
right.
We kind of felt like, in some ways, it was kind of like a sort of a direction that we're kind of going in, but also it kind of stood alone it stood alone as its own song.
Yeah.
Didn't fit as well into the album.
It was our favourite. It was our favourite of the analog mixes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And in fact, it's the only one from the album sessions that we're releasing that were mixed by us in the studio.
Oh, cool.
We were. Yeah, the others have been off to America to get mixed. You see.
Oh, right.
It's amazing how quickly you can, get them over there these days. Send a tape over in 10 seconds.
Yeah, no shipping of physical tapes anymore.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a process of trying to just do what we can, really.
Yeah.
Record when we can. Adjusting to having a baby around the band is also a new thing, but that's been great certainly for me and Sam anyway, in our relationship. It's brought us much closer together, I feel.
It's
the ultimate
awesome.
It's the ultimate like gooey thing, isn't it, which we both just, me and you, Al, can just be not talking about work for a long time and just enjoy and revel in this sort of young sunshine creature. It's good.
Young sunshine creature. He is a sunshine creature.
Yes, it is.
That's amazing, because I can easily see it going like not as such a positive way, you know what I mean? Like, surely it's got to be time consuming and a distraction to be a father. So like, I can see that being a negative thing, but it's awesome that it's brought you both closer together.
Yeah, I feel like it was last summer, wasn't it? And I came I came over to Sam's. So he was living you were living at Tilly's parents at the time in the country, and we went out for a big old walk around the fields and saw the horses and whatever there was.
Baby horses.
Yeah, baby horses, and we just had a big chat because I think a lot of sort of stuff had built up inside us. So I think there'd been a lot of it had been a challenge in Ladybird. You know, Sam lost his voice for a year.
For a year?
Yeah.
Oh man, I did not know that.
Struggled with that for a while, and that in itself was quite a big thing. And also, me and Joe had been through our own individual battles with mental health and other like. And I think a lot of stuff needed to be said that wasn't that I kind of knew was delusional. And anyway, we kind of just. Arthur was on the way, and it was like, you know what? There's going to be someone much more important on the planet than both of our egos.
Yeah.
So let's just have it out and get on with it and make it better than it was. Yeah. So yeah, Arthur was kind of the catalyst, I suppose, to us heading back in the same direction as each other.
Amazing. Arthur, did you say? Is that the baby's name?
That's Arthur.
Yes, Arthur.
Little Art.
Good work, Arthur. He's bringing people together before he even knows it.
Yeah, I tell him every time I see him, he said, "You've done more for me than you even know." And you're not even a year old yet.
Yeah, it's mad. It is mad. That is cause and effect for you right there, pal.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah, I definitely feel that everything we discussed in that chat came to manifest. And actually, it's really nice, despite the fact that there's been a pandemic. And my heart goes out to all the man-dem in the pandem, you know, and the gal-dem. No, really, it's been hard for so many people. But having a baby in lockdown wasn't so bad for us. It's starting to get a bit harder now, because usually by this point you could take your baby and leave it with your parents for an afternoon or something, but we can't do that, so it's quite hard for Tills, and it's it's a different space. But actually, generally speaking, like, the FOMO element to having a child was removed because no one could do anything. So that's something I'm really grateful for, because I think, like, for all of us, like, the energy surrounding it would have been different. Alex and I have been keeping busy with writing and preparing for a new campaign, for the album, obviously, when it comes out. So we're really lining that up with some key dates that we hold dear to us, it's really sweet, actually. It's been quite a pleasure to just sort of let love drive the Ladybird mobile.
It's quite interesting in some ways, because the album's kind of been a long time coming, really. And we could have maybe been in a position to sort of do it almost sort of 3 years ago, you know, but I don't think any of us were really ready to get the album together and do it
for real.
So, you know, we kind of we then kind of took a slight step back and went and did, you know, built a studio and did some, you know, bit of writing here and there, and spent a summer. I mean, we spent a summer not recording an album, and then the next summer we recorded the album.
We were pre-producing, though, like
we pre-producing. Yeah, true. But in some ways, the pandemic's it's kind of played more into our hands than maybe some other people who had their album planned to be released and then had to put it back a year or a few months or whatever, or people have had to bring out their album, like, you know, Sports Team or Willie J. Healy, and then can't tour the album,
which is brutal,
for another year, you know. So in that sense, we hadn't got to that stage, and then was suddenly like, oh fuck, we can't do anything. We can bring out the album post pandemic, and then just, you know, get the ball rolling and kind of hit the ground running in that sense. So in some ways it's kind of played into our hands. We can take a positive swing from it, and it's given time to Sam to, you know, become a father, and Joe's had his things going on that he's had to. Joe had a tough year last year, you know, so he needed he needed some time and space to become zen again.
Yeah.
Zen again.
So
zen
timing
again.
wise, it seems like it worked out okay for Ladybird.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah.
I was going to say, sorry. Also with the product as well. Like we as a band have evolved loads and loads and loads. You know, like even though we just recorded a bunch of singles and a couple of EPs, like our sound was definitely like growing in different ways.
Yeah.
And like talk about bands not being able to tour their albums. You know, we had this EP that came out, Brainwash Machine Setting. Yeah. Which we were going to be touring, but it is pushed back again, you know, and again, and we're doing it in September under a different name. But even on that record, the sound is totally different, like to how we started, and you know, other songs like Love that are a bit more poppy and thing. But anyway, so what's really interesting is that with the timing and how it sort of worked out for the best in terms of practicalities, it's also been a real result for us because we had like time to really come back to like full circle in terms of our sound, but we sort of landed back in the same place in the same studio with a lot more like songwriting experience together, and so you got this nice balance on the record that's coming out next. Well, you know, the album basically. It's just got a good balance of sort of like monstrous tunes inspired by the likes of Willie J. Healy that Alex has written, you know, heavy rock ballads that are Oasis sort of driven, and then also like rusty punk flashy numbers too. So I'm pleased that it turned out that way, you know.
That's exciting stuff, man. It's a great description of I don't know, the elements of the album. I can't wait.
I thought that was good.
Should have written it down.
Yeah. I like rusty punk. That's quite good.
Rusty punk.
We're rusty old punks
genre.
now, you know. We can't even headbang.
Speak for yourself, Samuel.
We need to start our fitness regimes, Alex. Just rocking out to no music in the bedroom, you know.
Maybe we could do like a Davina McCall style aerobics video to the album.
Oh my god, that'd be such a good bit of content, wouldn't it?
Bust out the spandex.
We could do a DVD and just dance along to the album. And everybody could do Ladybird aerobics.
Put it out on VHS, you know, try and like people, you know, like ourselves do it on vinyl. Might as well just put out a video on VHS, see how it goes.
That would be great. I'd like that. Let's look into that.
Jokes.
Yeah. It's funny, you mentioned Love, the track that you released.
Yeah.
It wasn't on Brainwash Machine Setting, right? No. But it's a class track that I feel kind of went under the radar a little bit. It went under my radar at the very least. Like, I didn't discover it until after it was released. But I really like the acoustic version of it. Like, I think I even prefer the acoustic version of it. It's really good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, you agree?
I like the acoustic version.
I feel like it, as a song, it lends itself to the acoustic version more than the studio version, electronic version, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. But it just works. And then when I heard, what's the last track? The other acoustic track, Nice DLC. Like like I love the direction. I don't know if that's a direction that you're going in or just things that came to you. But I love it when bands who don't necessarily specialize in acoustic tracks write acoustic tracks. You know what I mean? I think they're some of the best ones. How was that for you, kind of writing those tracks and going down that route?
It's a question for Alex, really, because although I wrote Love, you know, and Nice DLC, it's like Alex is a master of like acoustic. I mean, he's got an amazing acoustic, which I can also take credit for, but he'll tell you about that. But he's a real master of the acoustic guitar, and so it actually is the direction we're going in. But I'll let Alex respond.
Yeah, I think. I mean, so from a very young age, I've always loved acoustic music, and I love folk music, which, you know, as pure and simple as you get, just one chord and a melody in the voice that moves around. You know, I love that one chord sequence that doesn't change, and the voice takes you on this journey and this story. You know, so I've always been I've always loved that. That riff just kind of came too, but it always felt like it could be done. It was tuneful enough, I suppose, out of all our songs up until that point to put in that context, and came out really sweet. We did. That's a fully live take, that. And I think.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
I think it was like I don't know how many we did that day, but it was a long day.
Yeah.
I think we did about 50 takes until we got the one that was just spot on.
Yeah.
Or as close to as
50 takes and 10 zoots.
Yeah.
Maybe 20.
Lots of zoots. That's probably why it took so long, actually.
Come to think of it, yeah.
Now you mention it. But yeah, I mean, and then a big catalyst for me in terms of taking that style of songwriting and trying to put it into sort of a modern context, so it's less sort of folky, but was Willie J. Healy and his EP 666 Kill,
right?
Which he released in between his two albums, and well, we toured with him and Slaves at the end of 2018. Oh yeah, fucking
great line.
Mind blowing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to be sandwiched by Willie J. Healy and Slaves every night was pretty special.
Yeah.
And we developed a really lovely relationship with Willie, and we still chat now and catch up and whatnot. And I just think he's a true modern classic for me. You know, I think he's up there with some of the best British songwriters that have been coming out of this country.
Yeah. In
the last sort of 20 years, really.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer. And that EP chain, long van drives between city to city. I just smoke fags and listen to Willie J. Healy. Everybody's chatting shit, and I'm sat in the front like, eyes shut, just trying to concentrate. And yeah, that really inspired me because it was so simple. It's so there's not much to the songs, but there's also so much to the songs. Do you know what I mean? And and that's the thing I love about folk music, because you kind of there's so much heart and substance from where the story's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a voice and a guitar, or maybe some extra instrumentation. So it's kind of, I don't know. I've always been fascinated with that. It just feels like the roots of music to me. And I think it's nice to. It gives people a chance to see a different aspect to you, I suppose.
Yeah,
you can be a bit more vulnerable. I think the reason you start making loud, shouty music is maybe because you feel a bit vulnerable in the first place. So you just scream and shout at people, so you don't show it.
Yeah, fighting against that vulnerability rather
than
embracing it.
So I maybe there's a kind of both sides in there. The acoustic sides give us an opportunity to be that vulnerability, show that vulnerability, and
be safe in it. Yeah,
and be safe in it.
Yeah.
And also the shouty stuff gives you a chance to just let loose.
Yeah.
Here he is. Look at that gorgeous face.
He is.
Look at that gorgeous face.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Whoa,
don't fall off the desk though.
For any of the listeners wondering what's going on right now, Sam just brought in his baby Arthur, that we have talked about already. So here he is. He has now joined the podcast.
He's joined the band.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of, and we're also going on. We're also doing something a bit, because obviously albums. The process will start happening end of this year into the beginning of next year. So we kind of want to do something in between. I don't know how much we're allowed to say about it, but there will be some music coming.
Awesome.
We're gonna have playtime.
Yeah, it's playtime. It's fun time. Just to do, something.
Get back into it, yeah. No?
Get back into the process of recording and the process of not writing songs but playing them. You work that one out. But the acoustic side of things is definitely one that I'm trying to explore more.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it sounds like you came from a background in acoustic stuff and then kind of came more into the rust punk, as we just established later on, in that direction. Because I feel like I've heard a lot of bands kind of do the other way around. Like they start off in the shouty stuff and then they kind of go in to explore more acoustic stuff. Like I remember James Hetfield, I can't remember where I saw it, but I remember him saying that he was terrified bringing Nothing Else Matters to the rest of the band for the first time. That acoustic, like, this isn't Metallica, what are you talking about? Like, get out. He was afraid of being just exiled, you know what I mean? So I guess that wasn't a thing for you. That was always your background.
Wow.
Yeah, I think to a degree, like in some ways, with Ladybird, like we've always kind of been labelled this punk band, and I think it was more to do with who we were associated with than actually the music we were making. Maybe it is punk, modern punk, whatever you want to call it. But
it has elements of it for sure. I'd say.
Yeah, but I've never really felt like a punk musician necessarily. I've always felt there was more. There was gonna be more to us than just that would fit under the label of punk.
Yeah.
And yeah, I grew up on the Eagles and Dylan, really.
Oh right, okay.
So I definitely come from that side, and I mean I've had my first guitar was an acoustic guitar when I was like 5, and then I got an electric after that. So yeah, in some ways, the electric side of things has followed the acoustic side of things.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere to hide in your own playing on an acoustic guitar. An electric, you've got loads of pedals, and you can. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do to sort of hide behind. Like even live playing loud, it's like I don't have to play any of the notes. No one cares because everyone's just jumping around having a good time. Like I'll get as close as possible. But you stick me up there with an acoustic guitar, and if you fuck up one tiny little bit, everybody knows. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, I guess it's that playing with the kind of vulnerability, and it's an opportunity for me to explore my own vulnerability in those sort of situations, I guess.
Yeah.
It feels rawer and purer in some sense.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Word.
Sorry if I'm waffling about nothing.
No, I love it.
Never.
Yeah, it's great.
Never.
I find it interesting that you say that you never really felt like a punk band, in the fullest sense of the word, I guess, because from like a lyrical standpoint as well, and from a lyrical delivery standpoint, I guess you could say, like you've always been like a storytelling kind of band, like kind of Mike Skinner-esque, the Streets kind of stuff, almost rapping essentially. So you've got those kind of elements as well.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And punk is sort of deeply associated with hip hop because they happened at the same time, and it's more in later years that grime. People were commenting on grime when it came out about it being like the new punk, and stuff, which was also a massive influence for me and for us. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I don't know really how it comes out in our music. I think, like Alex said, there's a good, decent association with us and the punk scene through our dear friends Isaac and Laurie. Who I miss dearly, yeah, so I think that it's there's that as well, but definitely we wanted to be punky and thrashier, when we started, but literally, like Alex says, like just expressing our vulnerability in that kind of like, let's have it out, kind of way. Mm-hmm. But even in the first record, you got things like tracks like Baby that are sort of almost sort of foretelling that more soft acoustic side of things. But as you'll hear on the album when it comes out, there's loads of like we said, thrashy, rusty, punky numbers, but assisted with like Alex's title track of the record, and which is an acoustic track, and
nice.
Also like I said earlier, some sort of heavy rock anthems, sort of in the more not ballad, but Britpop ballad, that kind of vibe. But I was going to say something else on the matter, actually. Yeah, it's a great responsibility that we have, isn't it, to try and, extend the amount of time that creativity exists within this arena, before it's absorbed by something, consumed by something, probably more accurate. So I'm pleased that we're doing that, and we're still doing it. I have to, before we get close to the end of this interview, just share a memory, actually, which isn't related to the statement I just made.
Yeah.
But I've got to share it because it's a great memory we have of being in Newport with probably you were there, right, with Eddie Izzard, wandering around the streets of Newport, handing out Labour flyers. That was great, man.
Yeah.
What a guy.
I met you guys. That was a surreal day for sure. Awesome though. Yeah. Fair play to him, man, working tirelessly to try and change the world in his own way and going down the political route. I mean, that's in a way that's unconventional, Yeah. So, but fair play to him, man. He's taking it on and he's doing it. And I had a really interesting conversation with him, really, because although I wasn't, and I am not, as we speak, wearing anything that could be considered gender, breaking the constraints of Western gender concepts, I do like to, just wear what I like, and that often involves wearing women's clothing. It's no deeper than that. I just don't associate with so much with the male-female specifications that we're sort of spoon-fed since being an age of like arty years. Anyway, so I've really related to Eddie Izzard, but I didn't get an opportunity to really speak with him casually because we were literally like shoulder to shoulder marching down the streets of Newport, handing out flyers to people that didn't want them, so it was hard, but he did express something really. I had a sincere moment with him, and he was just talking about. I mean, he shared his vulnerability with us or with me in this moment where I just want a seat, man. I just want to be able to have a voice, and and he sort of, I don't think he said it directly, but he sort of said it to me that basically, I think he did say it directly. He was saying like he's being ostracized all the time because of the way that he dresses, his identity. And I really felt his heart in that interaction. It wasn't like it was the usual speech, the usual splurb. It was like so sincere. And he must just have lived with that for so long now. And he's such an admirable man. I guess I'm going off on one, but I do think there's a point to this, and obviously it started in Newport, which is where you are, and how we met. So it's worth it, right? But the world's changing, so much. The way we look at things is changing. It's catching up with the concepts that we wrote out, on paper, like the actual cultural, respect, people's compasses is catching up with these sort of like ideas that were written down however long ago, since we evolved from being animals, when we are, but whatever. So cutting to the chase, we're really in changing times, right? Alex had a good waffle about acoustic guitar, so I'm just gonna go into the space and time bit where you just zone out, but I'm not there yet.
No, man, we're just, it's such an interesting time to be alive, and it's crucial, we've got so many, really, life-threatening factors creeping in, not COVID to the bottom of the list, if you ask me, and so we just have an opportunity, don't we, to use our voice, and like you're doing with this podcast, and like we do with Ladybird, but we all have one, don't we? So, it's, shout out to Eddie Izzard, man. He's a brave and wonderful, lovely human being.
Yeah. I love that he was doing the groundwork with us, like they're on the street handing out flyers. He didn't have to. He could have been on some chat show or whatever. He's a proper famous guy, but he's there on the front lines. Yeah, respect for that.
And I want to just correct all of the times I probably referred to him as a guy, or because. That in itself is like an example of how we as a society are growing in our ability to respect others. And
I think he does
what or ever.
No.
What were you saying, Alex?
Oh no, I think he does. He is Eddie Izzard, isn't he? He refers to himself as him, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Not for us to decide.
Exactly. If we offended, we apologise, and we didn't mean to.
Yeah,
we love you, Eddie.
Yeah,
we do.
Thank you for all that you do.
Sorry if we got your pronoun wrong.
And
we're just trying.
And if you are listening, Eddie, I want to say on tape that in my mind, I challenged the woman on the news on the roof of the art gallery, who was being an absolute pest towards you. Diplomatically said, I must say. He'll know what I mean, guys. Come on.
If he listens.
Yeah. I hope he does. I would be highly surprised.
Keep it up, Ed.
There's a chance. I wanted to bring up the... you mentioned a couple of times your association with slaves, with those guys. And, I don't want to, instigate drama or anything at all. I'm just genuinely interested. Does it get annoying, always being asked about slaves? Has that ever been a thing? Because, you were the first act signed to their record label, right? Are you still signed to them, or...?
No, we're not.
No?
That kind of just... that was an investment in the sort of first EP.
Right.
And then it kind of sort of just ended up going a bit more independent from there. And, they had a lot going on in their own lives that they needed to deal with.
Right.
I'm sure you saw with Laurie.
Yeah.
And Isaac needed to take a bit of a step back. So, it kind of... As organically as it grew, it also as organically kind of just stopped in some ways. I don't really know how to put it.
Yeah,
but no, I don't think it's ever got annoying because it's just. Because it's annoying. I find it annoying when people think we sound like slaves.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's lazy.
Yeah, it is.
Because we don't sound like slaves. We're just mates with them, very good friends with them, but we are I don't think our... And there's influences in there, I listened to Laurie's guitar sound and wanted to recreate something sort of similar, especially as Sam had said, don't bring a bass, only play guitar.
Right.
So naturally there is that similarity in sort of the guitar rig world.
Yeah.
But musically, I think we're quite separate, but at the end of the day they gave us a big sort of step onto to get into that world. We released our first EP and we got a 2-page spread in DIY. Do you know what I mean? And it's who fucking gets that? Exactly.
Yeah.
But
So
because of that association, we were able to get to a wide audience quite quickly, and hence
love your DIY.
Hence have sort of I suppose. For the size of band that we actually are, the amount of people that actually know who we are, we've got a relatively decent sized following.
Yeah.
So they gave us that groundwork. So actually, I can't be bitter every time someone mentions slaves because we owe quite a lot. We owe quite a lot of people's awareness of us to them.
Yeah.
A lot to them in general,
Yeah. Because I feel like I would be. if I was you. You know what I mean? Mainly with like the lazy comparisons, like you were saying, Alex. That just basically in the research for this podcast, like I would watch YouTube interviews with you guys and stuff, and so many times they would almost like introduce you as the band signed by slaves kind of thing. I'm like, bro, like there's so much more than that. But yeah, I was just wondering kind of how you feel.
I think there is an aspect of there was always kind of, for me there was always kind of slight aspect of wanting to make sure that we weren't just known as that. Yeah. And that that we could stand on our own 2 feet in the industry, you know, without standing on the shoulders of giants, I suppose, really, in that sense. So yeah, and I think once we get this album going and the touring and starting, I think we're gonna continue to prove to ourselves that that's the case. Yeah. But yeah, it can be annoying, but I also understand it. yeah. Because people at the same time. people wanna know about it, and people want to know about our relationship. And at the end of the day, it kind of comes back to that. We were all friends first and foremost. We happened to be making music that both Laurie and Isaac liked and supported and wanted to push along. They had an idea for a record label, and it worked nicely at the time, you know. And it got us into where we wanted to get to, and we were very fortunate to do that tour and play with Willie J. Healy every night as well. Yeah. And we learned a lot about ourselves. I learned a lot from watching Laurie conduct himself.
He's so great to watch.
I've learned a lot from Isaac, and his sort of his relationship to art and his attitude when going in to create. And I try to. There's aspects of the way that they conduct themselves that I try to carry in myself. So yes, so in some ways the influence is very much right there, you know. Yeah. But yeah, there's also an aspect of trying to not take inspiration and then do it your own way, I suppose. Right. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. The fine line between inspiration and
imitation.
Exactly. Yeah, imitation. yeah.
But we're from the same scene, and we grew up around each other for 10 years. So there's always going to be that side of things, you know. Yeah. You know, I remember going to the Tunbridge Wells Forum as a 16-year-old and watching Sam and Isaac play in an old band of theirs together. Sam was the drummer, Isaac was the singer. You know. Right. And that's where it all started for me. I got a message one day from Sam and Isaac saying, "Do you want to come and play? We want to do a little jam. Do you want to come and play?" Yeah. And I was like, and it's funny. Isaac's name on Facebook at the time was. Can you remember what it was, Sam?
Alan Key.
Alan Key, yeah. Or no, Alan. Yeah, Alan. Or what? Alan Key in the UK. It comes from. Yeah, that's Alan it. Key in the UK. Anyway, I got this message from this guy called Alan Key, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And he was like, "Do you want to jam?" And it was Isaac, and I was like, I couldn't. At the time, I wasn't that bothered that he was in Slaves, but I was just buzzing that Sam and Isaac from Barefaced messaged me to get. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't, and they'd done their first album by that point, but I was more buzzing that like my childhood heroes wanted to be associated with me. Yeah. And now they're both my best mates, so
we still need to do that. We still need to do that record with Isaac, man.
Yeah, we do.
Serious.
We do.
We'll try and fit that in somewhere.
There was actually we I can't remember what that was. It was just before Slaves went to do their second album. We were just jamming at the Forum for
about a week.
And, and there is a recording of it somewhere, and there's some very early versions of Slaves lyrics from the second album.
Oh, right.
On it, which is really cool. Yeah. And they'd basically written some songs, and then Isaac took them from that and turned them into onto the Slaves album.
Right.
So I love that, because I was like, there's a version of that somewhere that no one's ever heard. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. You mentioned just briefly there, but I want to kind of touch on it again, how there's no bass. There is no bass player in Ladybird. And it sounded like that was a specific choice, like a conscious decision. Is that the case, or?
It's not the case now, is it, Alex?
Is it not?
It was. It was a decision before.
So you got a bass player now?
Well, we don't have a bass player, but there will be a bass player. But not as in a touring member.
Right.
Basically.
Okay.
Someone who's going to play the bass. Basically. Someone who will be sort of touring with us and in Ladybird, but not in Ladybird.
Send your applications in now.
Yeah.
Tell them why. Tell them why, Alex.
Well, I bought a bass and ended up writing loads of bass lines that were really good.
Yeah.
And now we've got to
We've got an album full of them.
Now we've got an album full of them. We're going to
nice.
I feel like the live essence it'll be missing a lot. You'll be missing one quarter of a band by not having the bass there doing its thing. So I'd like to think that I'd be playing some of it as well. You know, it's not that we'll just get a bassist in. It'll be another musician that can play guitar and bass.
Swap it up kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, because some of the older tracks that were written without a bass will still be played without a bass. I still have that sort of capability, but there'll be some songs that will need that.
Like the guy in Green Day that no one knows his name. Do you know his name? Anyone?
Just there in the shadows. No,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he's got his own podium at the side, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
No one knows his name.
Queen had one of those guys as well. Funnily enough.
Did they? Didn't know that.
Interesting.
Who do you think
Not
plays
on
the
bass,
piano on Crazy Little Thing Called Love?
See, always more than meets the eye, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Well, yeah. So you know, we're gonna get some.
Hey, baby.
What's the word? Subordinate little man and stick him in the corner and say, "Don't come out. No one wants to see you on stage. Just stand behind the amps and play the bass." No, I'm joking, obviously. Yeah, I'm joking, obviously. Like a little minion, you know.
It'd be nice to have
the Ladybird minion.
Another dynamic in the bass, you know, on stage. It'd be great. Yeah. I'm really looking forward.
I think it's quite good as well because me, Sam, and Joe also
clash a lot.
we can do because we're all so passionate and very like different individuals and very strong characters. I think the more people that are around creating a different dynamic, the better it will be generally.
Yeah.
Not to say we don't get on though, you know.
Yeah, we're looking for a female, really. Let's be honest, you know, for so many reasons.
We need some female energies just to sort of calm the fucking ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to sure.
Dilute the masculine energies in the band.
Just get rid of all that bullshit.
Yeah, it's all just an idea anyway. None of us really are angry or feel unsafe. It's just this sort of written code that seems to live on in us. Nice.
I mean, we do get on though. It's not like it's not like we hate each other.
We do.
No. It's just when you've been in a van with the same people for 3 weeks,
it can be hard, man.
It starts to do. The way Sam eats starts to do my fucking head in.
Alex has that thing that Ricky Gervais has where he hates the sound of eating. So you can imagine on a tour bus, if he's losing, if he's got 5 people eating a meal deal. It's tricky stuff.
Just hell.
Yeah, I've got my window. I've got my head out the window.
Headphones in, window open.
Towel over my head so I can't see anyone.
So
quiet place.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Yeah,
it's reminding me. This conversation has reminded me, man, of playing. It's really nice actually. Last gig we did was in Paris, January 2019, man.
That was the last gig you did?
2020.
Am I being an idiot? Yes.
Yeah, last year. It was like beginning of last year.
That's the one.
That's a good one to finish on, though. That sounds class.
It's a good show to finish on, man.
Yeah. It was a good show, actually.
Where was it in Paris?
Le Supersonic.
Ah, nice.
I don't Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where it is, but we had a very nice time, and there was lots of people there, and there was some. Sam might be able to tell me because he spoke to them for longer, but I'm pretty sure there's some people that came from Japan.
Yes.
Were they just
all the way to Paris?
Did they come? Did they come from Japan specifically to see us, or were they just in Japan? Had they just come from Japan to Paris?
I think they lived there actually in Paris. Their French was definitely better than their English, so I'm assuming that they'd been based there for a little while.
Okay, right. They hadn't travelled specifically to Paris from Japan.
I don't think so.
To see us.
I don't think so. If they did, then hats off. Carbon rock print. That is serious. But they were cool. It was really nice actually because Japanese culture is really at the heart of what we do. To be honest, in essence, because two out of three of us are Nichiren Buddhists, and Nichiren was a Japanese scholar of Buddhist scriptures, mainly the Lotus Sutra. So, practically all Lotus Sutras. So, anyway, veering off slightly, but yeah. So Joe and I have both been to Japan and have lots of relations to the country. So, and for you, Alex, you had a tie with them through. Being just drop dead gorgeous and modelling for Celine.
Yeah, they were very chic and very
stylish,
cool.
Man. Whoa.
I mean, but everyone in Paris is, man. Everyone in Paris looks fucking wicked.
Yeah.
Even the people that aren't necessarily. No, it's bollocks. They're all trying. They're Parisians.
That's so funny.
It's funny you bring up Japan though. Because I was dying to ask if the Japanese kimono pajamas in Beep Beep, is that real? Does somebody actually own them?
Yeah, I fucking own them, man. I bought them for £1 down Deptford Market, as it said, it said in the song. Yeah, man.
Oh, I'm so glad that's real. Is the whole thing a true story?
All of it's true story, yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Can you? All right, here's over to you, Ben. Tell us the story in your own words.
Me, right now?
Yeah, right now. Go. Beep Beep.
Beep Beep. What? Based on Beep Beep?
Yeah, I just want to hear your view of the story, man. Like, in detail.
Oh, I see. It was my rendition of Beep Beep. I see.
What did you take from it?
I want to know, how it came across and if it's accurate on the other side.
I took from it that this guy, I guess you, wakes up and he's kind of in a bit of a wobbly state, I guess you could say. And he's walking around the house. Did he say he hasn't eaten something? He's hungry or something, maybe. And he hears this beeping, and it's driving him crazy. And it turns out that it's the carbon monoxide alarm, and it's just going and going and going, and it won't stop. And then I don't know. He has like a breakdown ish. Like it causes him distress. And emergency services end up getting called, and they tell him that he's having a panic attack, that it's not the alarm, but he is insistent that the carbon monoxide alarm is going off, and that's what's causing it. That's my understanding. How close?
Everybody meet Samuel Cox.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's exactly what.
Don Bird. Don Bird to you.
Don Bird, by the way.
No.
Well, it's a class song. I've listened to it a bunch of times, and it's the only song I think in existence that has the words "carbon monoxide alarm" in the chorus, which is a particular.
Wow,
doff
there we
of
go.
the hat.
That's that's a hats off moment, isn't it? Yeah, it really did happen like that. But the alarm went on. Yeah, I mean, I really thought I was dying, so this was a really interesting moment for me to check myself. I mean, last words vibes. I'm telling you, man, it was crazy.
Really, it was that bad.
Didn't you call your mum?
I'd messaged my mum to say, my last words, and that is a genuine thing. There was a woman from down the road who was coming to keep an eye on me. She was in hysterics because she thought she was watching a man die before her. And it was serious. The bloody
it is serious, but it's also fucking
it
hilarious.
is so funny. Yeah, they broke into all the houses, my neighbours' houses, to make sure that no one was dead. And then this moment when the fire truck pulls up and sees me in my Japanese kimono pajamas with Joe's pink puffer coat on, and paint my fingernails frequently. And he took one look at me, and it's like as if this happens all the time. Like people just that are crazy just make a call like this. So, and he brings the carbon monoxide alarm to me, and as I'm sat in the fucking back of this fire truck, and he goes, he said, "Sir, the fire alarm, the carbon monoxide alarm is out of battery." And I was like, "Oh, fuck off, mate! I'm not being funny. I am, I might, yeah." I was just like, "I'm not being funny, mate." But that fucking thing went off. All right. Whether or not anyone's dead or I'm suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning, at least give me the credibility of knowing whether that fucking alarm was going off or not. So it's quite funny. And anyway, that was it was a sign that the landlord, hadn't changed the batteries, before we moved in there, and I'm assuming maybe this is true of other battery devices, that the last thing they do before they give up the ghost is go off.
This swan song.
So I think those alarms that are designed to save your life let you know if they're out of battery.
Yeah.
They beep when they're out of battery, so that you can put another battery in them, so that when the carbon monoxide starts leaking, it will actually go off.
Oh, thank goodness. At least it's a likely story then.
The irony in that, though, it was just trying to save your life, and it almost ended up taking it.
I'm serious, bro. I'm serious,
but
man.
that was at the very end of a long string of a lot of battles that you'd come over, including your voice.
Yeah,
Sam.
For real.
So
check out the film.
In many ways, that laid bare. It was a kind of manifestation, and kind of acted as a bit of a mirror in your life at the time. I feel like it kind of checked you a little bit. Yeah, checked you before it wrecked you.
Jeez, true to word.
And I feel like it was all on an upward swing from that point onwards.
Yeah, it was. It was like, okay, I was going through a psychogenic voice condition. I hadn't come to terms with it. Literally, there's a film about it on the Guardian website. So I was coming to terms with like why I couldn't speak. It was dreadful, It was fine for a while. I met Tills in the time when I couldn't speak. We wrote so many songs. I wrote Love while I couldn't speak, not even being able to listen to the melody back through my own voice, just like in my head. It was a bit weird, and you can see why it might cause mental deterioration, and which it did. And that moment, at a time when I'm trying to work out whether or not I'm just losing it or if I'm suffering from a physical ailment, it was really challenging. I think it was plain to see from on the outside, but in my head it was tough. And then this moment when I'm in, being blood tested in a hospital just to double check whether or not I had carbon monoxide in my system, and they were just like, no, and I was like, oh fuck. It was a real turning point. Yeah, serious.
Man, I didn't know there was so many layers of backstory to that song.
Well, now you do, baby doll. I'm pleased you asked, because no one else has.
That's what I go for. I'm dying to ask a question that nobody else asked. I'm almost ashamed of myself that I asked about slaves, even though, I went there. But redeemed.
You are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't want to steal too much of your Saturdays. I feel like I've stolen too much as it is. But thank you so much for taking the time to chat. What have you got coming up? Like, you're going on tour again, right? At some point, hopefully?
Yeah, September. We will have some music out before then, and then there will be music out around the tour.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing something a bit different for this more recent music, as we were talking about, the sort of folky kind of stuff. Cool. And then you'll start hearing an album towards the end of the year, and singles, and a tour that should be happening. All things go well from the 21st of June, and it's kind of difficult because you're still there is this genuine hope that it's actually all going to be over and everyone's going to be fine.
Yeah,
but
we've also sure of it.
We've also done that. Said that's happened a couple of times, and then stuff's got moved again. So there's a part of me that doesn't actually want to totally commit to it. But
for sure. Fingers firmly crossed, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Touring and an album is coming from Ladybird.
Exciting, man.
Yeah,
Tickets
man.
available. Where can people get tickets? On the website?
On our website, this is ladybird.co.uk, and that take you to different links and stuff. And yeah, just social media. This is Ladybird at This Is Ladybird. I think on everything, apart from Twitter, which is Ladybird. This is. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's where to get your news. Yeah, LB News.
LB News.
What's the closest place you're coming to Newport? Is
Uh,
it Bristol? You playing Bristol?
We're playing Bristol. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we crossed the border.
I
don't think we crossed the border this time.
Shocking. That is shocking.
No.
I'd like
but-
to
That's all right.
change
We'd
Bristol's
like
just
to.
over the bridge.
Okay, it's
I'll
not-
come see you in Bristol.
Yeah, wicked. We'd love to have
please
you,
do,
Ben.
Ben.
We'd love to see you, mate.
Class. Nice one. Yeah, I will
All
be
right.
there. Thank you once again.
Thank
Yeah, thanks so much, and thank you for doing this cool podcast and inviting us on, man. It's a cool thing you're doing.
Trying.
Lovely
All
to
good.
see you. Good luck with the training, dude. Respect.
Oh, thank you, man.
Respect.
Thank you. Speak to you all soon. Cheers,
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Thanks,
Loads of
thanks.
love, man. Bye for
Nice
now.
one.
Alex Coleman.
Bye.